Cool afternoon, guys. Thank you for joining on this fairly sunny random afternoon in the UK. Today we're going to be presenting a webinar called Lifting the Lid on LEA Professional with myself, Ben from Audiologic, and one of my colleagues, Jeff from LEA. So just a quick bit of housekeeping before we get started. We're going to run through the presentation in a fairly fixed format, but anyone that has any questions, please do drop in the Q&A and we'll have a dedicated section at the end of the presentation to answer any questions you might have. The questions are moderated, just in case you want to get creative in there. And the webinar is being recorded, so anyone that can't make it, or if you need to duck out, we will also be sending a recording of this via email post-presentation. Okay, great. Let's take a look about what we're going to be covering in the next 30 minutes. First off, I can see a couple of familiar faces and names in the lobby, but some of you might be new to us, so I'm going to do a quick introduction into who Audiologic are. Jeff will then be running a quick intro into LEA Professional and a little bit about the brand, and then I'm going to cover some core technologies and the fundamentals of LEA. We'll then take a look at the hardware, go through the range, see some of the features, and then I'll give a quick opinion on why we're so fond of these amplifiers, and then we'll get onto the questions from you guys. So quickly, just for anyone that doesn't know who I am, I'm Ben Spurgeon. I'm the head of technical here at Audiologic.
Hi, I'm Jeff Gorton. I know many of you from past exploits. I've been in the industry over 20 years. I started as an installer and AV commissioner in an installation company.
Great, thanks, Jeff. Yeah, I haven't been in the industry 20 years. I've got some catching up to do to you, mate. So just quickly, who are Audiologic? We are the UK-based distributor exclusively for LEA, as well as lots of other key professional audio brands. In-house, we have a lot of absolute audio nuts. We're all, sound engineers, system designers, everything like that. We're very much passionate about the audio experience that we can create. And alongside distribution, we also take care of everything, all the way from pre-sale system design, all the way through to commissioning. So we do much more of the technical aspects of that's not typically always included in distribution. So we're always here to help our partners along the range. We've been exclusive with LEA for just over 3 years now. It's a brilliant product that we're really enjoying growing into the UK market. And yeah, we're going to cover a bit more about that today.
Okay, so a little bit of background about LEA and where we've come from. In the centre of the picture with the checkered shirt is a chap called Blake Osberger, who some of you may know. He was the former CEO of Crown Amplifiers. When Crown was acquired by Harman, he then became the CEO of Harman. He retired from Harman back in 2017, went out and bought himself a lovely yacht and was fishing off the back of the Florida Keys. Whilst he was out there, he received an email saying the Crown manufacturing plant in Indiana was being disbanded and 700 people were being made redundant. This obviously upset him because he knew and had worked with a lot of these guys, and he also knew the amount of talent and engineering talent there was there. So he started writing a business case, and his boat at the time was called Loud Enough. So this is where the name comes from. He named the company Loud Enough Audio, or LEA, that you've got there. Whilst he was writing the business case, a shark swam across the back of the boat, and he thought to himself, what a perfect logo. That's going to be the logo for my new business. And it saved himself hundreds of thousands of dollars in marketing. Also, you'll see in the picture, to his left is Scott Robinson, former VP of Sales for Harman, now VP of Sales for LEA. And our marketing director is, guessed it, VP of Sales for Harman, now the VP of Sales for LEA. Next slide, please, Ben.
Yeah, of course, mate.
It's coming. Thank you. So where does LEA fit and the type of markets it fits into? So I imagine a lot of you, or know a lot of you, are working in the corporate market, and quite a few of you are working in the higher education and education sectors. The benefit of using LEA will allow you to get into expand your business, allow you to get into other market sectors, as you can see on the screen here. So for example, LEA is the standard and specification on all MSC cruise yachts. We also do a lot of super yachts. We're heavily involved in the hotel and hospitality arenas. We do a lot of work with museums. We do huge amounts with stadiums. And we also have a specific line for cinema in the cinema series.
Great, thanks, Jeff. Right, let's take a look at the few core technologies or the pillars of LEA that make these amplifiers stand out from the rest of the crowd. Obviously, when we talk about amplifiers, we're talking about power delivery here, and lots of power all delivered from a single chassis. Amplifiers are designed for this, and thankfully the developments we've seen over the recent years is allowing more and more power into ever increasingly small units, which means it's great for saving rack and also giving us more easy power delivery out to large scale speaker systems. As well as this, we're also seeing really clever developments in how we're delivering that power, or maybe even sharing it across the rest of the amplifier. So the majority of the range are now based in a single 1RU chassis. We do have some above and some below, which you will see a little bit later. But even in these single 1RU chassis units, we've got low impedance or high impedance per channel. And something that's fairly unique to LEA is the smart power bridge. Typically, when you bridge an amplifier channel, you get double the power, but that usually means you're losing that second channel. So a 4-channel amplifier suddenly goes down to 3 channels, which isn't always all that useful. With LEA's smart power bridge, what we can do is double the power of any single channel, and it doesn't sacrifice the power available elsewhere or any other channel. So take a 4-channel 1,000-watt amplifier. If we were to enable smart power bridge on channel 3, we'd go up to 2,000 watts available on that channel, whilst unaffecting the other 3 channels, still with full 1,000-watt power delivery. This is really, really useful when you're doing things that include subwoofers, where typically we'd buy separate amplifiers so we can scale up and use more power. We don't need to do that anymore. We can just use smart power bridge, dedicate a single channel to the subs, and suddenly you've got everything you need inside a single amplifier. On board the amps, we've also got some incredibly intelligent DSP. So everything's built on a 96 kilohertz platform. So it's an absolutely great sounding amplifier. We've also got an entire library of speaker tunings, meaning that you don't have to go through and manually calibrate all your speakers, although additional tuning is always a good idea in my books. But it means as soon as you rock up on site, you can just go through your driver library, pick which speakers you're running with on site, and get everything sounding as great as possible within just a matter of minutes. On top of that, we also have the ability to do FIR filters on some of the larger amplifiers or the advanced DSP versions, for meaning when you really need to get down into the nitty gritty and really tune those high-end systems, we've got that available to hand. And in terms of the brains behind the solution, all of these amplifiers are built with IT in mind. So I'm going to show you a few features that we've incorporated with this shortly, but everything's comes from an incredibly smart background and a smart brain inside the amplifiers, essentially, which allows us to do some really cool things and some very clever pieces of software. So let's get started with connecting to the amplifier. The first and simplest method to do this is the web UI. This takes away the requirements for any dedicated software or any complex connection procedures. All we have to do is head to the IP address of the amplifier, and we get the full control interface alongside the monitoring, so we can configure the amp in a matter of seconds. The nice thing about this is it means it's device agnostic. So I've done it before where I've commissioned one of these amps on my phone, or you can use a MacBook or Windows device, all very easy. Next up, we've got the LEA Cloud. This is the Amazon AWS cloud-based system that's all back-ended and included free of charge with the amplifiers, which gives us global remote monitoring and control of the amplifiers at 0 cost. All we need to do is provide an internet connection into the back of the amplifiers, and suddenly we've got global visibility across all of our sites, all of our amplifiers, even down to the load monitoring and input monitoring. So we've got great global visibility. This is one of my personal favorite features. The cloud is what really separates this apart, and especially when we're in a world of licensing and additional costs at the moment, this is something that sets these amplifiers apart and isn't even being charged for. So it's such a great selling point to end users, but also great from a technical perspective in terms of supporting your sites. Then finally, in terms of software, we've got the ever-returning shark fin logo, which you'll see popping up. We've now got the Sharkware application. This is for when you're deploying multiple amplifiers or you want to do offline designs ahead of getting to site. This allows you to do your full configuration. You can then just rock up on site and push your designs over the network to all of your online amplifiers. Sharkware makes it incredibly easy, it's incredibly intuitive, and just makes those deployments even faster and simpler.
Okay, so we'll go on to a little bit of an overview of the range of the connected series amplifiers. If we can move on to the next slide for me, Ben. Around when Blake started putting together the business, he went to his engineers and said, where you were restricted in your previous company, I want you to use those huge brains of yours and all of that experience to design the best possible amplifiers you can. And you have complete freedom to do that. And when you come up with a great idea, There are rewards for doing so, including if you look at the PCB boards, we have shark logos for each of the engineers that's done design on that board. But in the heart of it, LEA makes extremely good and brilliant sounding amplifiers. Next slide, please, Ben. Now, having worked for many manufacturers in the past, I know how complex some of the model numbers can be. This company works perfectly for me because it's very easy to help and specify each of the different models. The first number, if we looked at the top, is the Connect 34. This denotes that the amplifier is a 30-watt 4-channel amplifier. And it can be, they're flexible on the channels as well. You can run 8 ohm, 4 ohm, 2 ohm, or each channel can be selectable. You could run 100 or 70 volt lines throughout the channels. We have built-in 96 kilohertz DSPs. As mentioned, we have smart power bridge, doubling the power on any channel. So if we looked at the first amplifier, where we have a 30-watt 4-channel amplifier, on one of those channels, you could double the power to 60 watts, but retain the power on the other 3 channels. And as mentioned, we have complete selectability on low Z or high Z per channel. I will also add that the software, Sharkware and the web GUI that Ben spoke about earlier, they're all free of charge and will remain free of charge, which is a huge asset for when selling and speaking with a customer. Next slide, please, Ben. You'll begin to see a pattern with the naming here. So if we look down to, for example, the Connect 164D, that is a 160 watt 4-channel amplifier, but at the end we now have the D designation, which denotes that the amplifier is Dante enabled. There appears to be quite a large range of amplifiers. This is because if a tender comes out asking for a 160 watt amplifier and all we made was a 100 watt or a 200 watt amplifier, the price of the amplifier would either be too expensive or it wouldn't meet the criteria of the tender. But we have the full range ranging from 30 watts right the way up to the newly released 3000 watt amplifier, which also comes in Dante format and has advanced DSP as well. We have primary and secondary Dante inputs. Sorry, mate. We have primary and secondary Dante inputs. And another feature which is key and I really like is what we call the Dante on-ramp. This allows you to take an analog source, plug it into the amplifier, which will then allow it to appear on your Dante matrix, and you can use it from the Dante and send it to any other Dante devices. Now we're good to go. We wanted to talk about this particular model because knowing the market, the UK market in particular, and the markets that you work in, corporate education, is our half rack model. It's a very powerful model, which we have a range of 30 by 4, 60 by 4, 80 by 4, and 120 watts by 4 channel, which still has smart power, so you can still double one of those channels if you want to run to a subwoofer or something. In addition, with the half rack, we have mic input, both line and balanced and line mic inputs. Each of the half racks comes with the mounting kits for table mount, wall mount, and blanking panels. We also have digital IOs, and again, Dante can be available for the select Dante model. And I'm sure if we can look at it very closely, you'll see an LCD screen, which appears just to the left of the phono input. This is for when you, perfectly timed there. Nice laser, thank you. This is when you're connecting via AP mode or wired mode. It gives you your IP address. So you put 194.168.1.1. I could then connect to that amp from my mobile via AP, via wired, via wireless, and then take control of the amplifier. If we move on to the back of the amplifiers, Ben, it's probably a good time for you to step back in. You can cover this bit off for me.
You know, I'm always nerdy. I get excited about hardware. So yeah, just taking a quick look at the back of the amplifiers, you can see we've got the bigger 2RU unit down at the bottom, which is the 1504, which will also share a chassis with the 3004, so the much higher output units. Don't forget, we can still do the smart power bridge on those. On the 3004, we could even go up to 6,000 watts of power delivery, which is just absolutely nuts. The features on the back are fairly shared across the 1RU and the 2RU unit. So on the 2RU units, you'll see you've got primary and secondary Dante networks, because these are typically going to be put in large-scale deployments. So redundancy is obviously going to become much more key there. We've also got control ports, so we can split out our control LAN if we need to. standard Euro block connectors. And one thing I didn't mention earlier is we've actually got 3 different ways of connecting to the amplifier. So we've got our standard hardwired connection, and that's where we can just remote in via the IP address and use the web UI, nice and straightforward. We can connect to the venue's Wi-Fi and then access it from mobile or laptop as well. Or probably my favorite and most time-saving way of connecting to these amps when on site is they've also got a built-in access point. So this means before the AV network's even in, you've still got engineers and stuff still on site cabling everything, and they're running behind, and I still need to get in and do my job. We can go around to the back of the units and enable an access point built in, go on board, do all the configuration, disconnect and connect into the next one. There's a small little button there. You can just see it's got the Wi-Fi logo above it. That exists on all 3 of the amplifiers, but it just makes it really, really easy to connect via that AP. We've also got some basic control logic inputs for power control. And then, like Jeff said, we've got the unbalanced inputs as well on the half rack series. So obviously these are designed potentially for more a retail or hospitality environments, somewhere where you're quite likely to have a background music player or something that's an unbalanced source. So we've got both balanced and unbalanced inputs on the smaller units because of the markets they're tailored for. And yes, that very nice new little LED screen on the rear.
The LED screen, just for reference, is on the front of the single U and double U amplifiers. We have also increased the range, and we've now integrated in our own specific touch panel control, which has its full color touch panel with volume control, volume knob control. We have power over Ethernet for easy installation. It fits into your standard EU gang box. We have volume and mute control for single zone, source select for single zone, and we can control up to 100 single zones from one CS touch. Or we can group up to 100 amplifier channels into a single group control, group volume control, mute, and source select. This works quite nicely because we don't need the integration of the DSP. And again, I'll pass this over to Ben because he loves to talk about this, don't you, Ben?
Yeah, so the reason that the touch controller has been introduced is because we've got that comprehensive onboard DSP. We've obviously got Dante I/O capability as well as sending channels off elsewhere using the on-ramp. Really, is there much need for an external DSP, especially when we're looking again back into that retail and hospitality environment? So let's say we've got one of our half rack series amplifiers hidden behind the bar, it's powering the system, we've got our BGM running into that. All we really need is volume and source control, or maybe even just volume and mute control over multiple zones. By adding the CS Touch, that eliminates the need for an external DSP. We don't need to be putting even more hardware in. And actually, we can just put a controller per zone and control all of our system with source, level, and muting. So it's just nice and straightforward and saves building out a wider system when we've actually got an insanely powerful amplifier that's got all the brains inside it already with that remote monitoring as well. So the Touch just rounds out the range nicely and saves us putting in additional hardware. The next slide is an awful mugshot of me because it's taken from a video. This is a video we're about to release shortly.
Was it taken about 10 years ago, Ben?
That was, no, that was a few weeks ago, that was, but just hidden behind the title, there's a, you can see the half rack unit hiding there behind the title. We love these amplifiers. The LEA kit is so good for us. In terms of scalability, it makes system design really easy. Like Jeff said, because there's so many power variants, it makes scaling up for large scale deployments or different power requirements really easy. We had a tender which will remain nameless, but we were able to go up against another large amplifier manufacturer and win quite significantly on price because we were able to pick amplifiers throughout the range, which all have the same features and the same, built-in intelligence, but match the power requirements, including using Smart Power Bridge, to out-specify the other amplifier brands that were involved, just because of the amount of configurability we've got on there. In terms of stacking the units together, you can see from that image, the units look absolutely epic when you fill an entire rack with them. It's great looking hardware. And yeah, the PCBs, for any of you that have got hands on them before, it's not that I'm encouraging you to take the lids off, but if you ever see LEA at a trade show, there'll always be a unit without the lid on. There is, shark bites out of the PCBs and some really nice hidden gems under the hood of these amps. So it's always nice to have a little peek in.
Just coming in on that point there, Ben, you're going to ask the question, the amplifiers have a 5-year warranty on them from date of installation. So not from the date you've purchased from Audiologic, from the date you actually install the amps.
Great point, thank you. Yeah, I always forget to talk about warranties. That's always nice. 5 years is kind of becoming a new standard now, which is great.
Because we never need them. We never break down.
Exactly. In terms of connectivity, just really hammering home how useful cloud can be. For me and the team, obviously we use TeamViewer day in, day out to remote into all kinds of AV systems and troubleshoot what's going on. With LEA Cloud, if we've got access to the customer site, it's dead easy for us because we can go straight onto our cloud management, see the access to all the different sites. We can even set up fault and alert monitoring so that if one of the amplifiers goes down or we don't see input, that we get a triggered email alert to say that someone's having issues or we need to take a look at this. We've actually used this for a large-scale juice chain in the UK. Again, I won't name names, but because all the amplifiers are on cloud, we can actually see branch by branch what's going on, what level they're running the music at, what the content selection is, even down to the load monitoring on the line. So it just becomes super easy for us to support. For those of you that are offering managed services as part of your integration package, this is a great bolt onto that. And again, because there's no cost, it's a really nice, easy thing to add on. And then the on-site tools just to make your commissioning job even easier. Things like the built-in access point, you've got signal generators, sign gens in there again, just makes commissioning and on-site deployment nice and straightforward. Cool, so that was a fairly whistle-stop tour. In terms of recap, we just wanted to really hammer home today how smart these amplifiers are, all of the features that are included in there, including the software, especially with the cloud functionality, and also show more of you about the half rack unit, which is one of the latest units and the latest ranges to ship. Jeff, is there anything you want to add in?
Yeah, look, both Ben and I and the Audiologic team are more than happy to bring these amplifiers to you and leave demo models with you. The best way to find the real benefits and features is to play with the software. It is extremely intuitive and it runs across the entire range. I'm more than comfortable using the control software and monitoring software. I can even set up the touch panels because there is no programming involved. So yeah, please reach out to either Ben or myself or the Audiologic team. Ask for a demo kit or ask for us to arrange some demonstrations and we'll be glad to come and visit you.
Yeah, great point. Always happy to demo these. You're welcome to set up a video call with us here at Audiologic. We've got loads of the LEA amps on site, so we can show you through the hardware, what it's doing. I can walk you through that in a video call. That's all nice and straightforward. Cool. Shall we dive onto the Q&A? I have not been watching what's been going on. I've been too focusing on waffling, but I've just had an alert saying 5 minutes left, so it looks like we're bang on time so far. I can see a little red dot in the Q&A. So where should we get started? Oh, great question. So Joe has asked, does it have QSYS integration? Yes, there is an LEA plugin available for QSYS. It gives you some fantastic readouts and all data and control of the amplifiers. Free to download, obviously, as with most QSYS plugins. So yes, we run that plugin as part of the office that I'm running now. We have the QSYS backend for everything with the LEA plugin running on that. Great question.
We have a range of plugin APIs for the amplifiers. So we have Crestron APIs, QSYS APIs, Control 4, Extron, Savant, RTI. If you look onto the website, it will tell you the APIs we've got available. We've got around 8,000 API downloads downloaded so far, so they're regularly used. We also covered off the speaker tunings briefly, so we might as well go there. We have the majority of speaker tunings. We like to think we are friendly with all speaker manufacturers. This allows very simple integration application where you go online, you pull down, for example, the JBL speaker tuning or the Bose speaker tuning you acquire. You plug that into the amplifier, that sets all the EQ levels and the limiters for that system, meaning that you should have a safe system. You can't damage it by turning it up too high. Over to you, Ben.
Cool. Next up, Mark's asked, what support is available in the UK with respect to specifying a system design and commissioning? I mean, that is definitely a loaded question for me, isn't it? Obviously, at Audiologic, that's exactly what we're here to do. If you need help specifying LEA into your first or your 100th project, please do come and speak to myself and the team. We've got a team of 6 engineers here, and like I've said, everything from pre-sales design, schematics, drawings, all the way through to coming on site and commissioning and deploying with you. It's absolutely available in-house. So yes, please do drop me or the support team an email on that one. That's absolutely fine. I think that might be it for questions. We got new posts, bear with. Cloud monitoring is becoming a standard in the industry. What sets the LEA cloud apart? Oh, for me,
firstly, it's free of charge. I will throw that straight out there.
Yeah, I think ease of use. We've all seen how complex cloud deployments can get, and arguably fairly unnecessarily. For me, this is so simple. You just put internet connection into the back of the amp. There's no complex IT requirements from their side of the network. We're not asking for a load of stuff to be, bypassed or anything that might be security conscious or anything like that. It's just a really, really easy deployment. And like we keep saying, this isn't a charged for thing, and we're not going to license this. So it's a much easier way than other people have taken an approach to it.
There's another fun part to that, is that we work on a universal language, and that universal language is emojis. So if you have a happy emoji on your cloud, or the amplifier, you can see straight away everything is working perfectly. If you have an angry emoji on the amplifier or on the cloud when reviewing, it means that something that the amplifier is connected to isn't working properly. And in the very rare case that you get a sad crying emoji, it means there's something directly wrong with the amplifier.
Great question from James. Is the hotspot completely isolated from the wired network ports? Yes, when you enable the AP mode, it disables the hardwired connection, so it will kill any physical connections. It's for temporary override, so you can then connect the amplifier. We do also do a SKU that does exist in the price list if it's a security conscious site where there might be concerns about the access point. If you're talking government or anything, financial, anything that security really is key, we can also manufacture the amplifiers without the AP. That is something that's available on the price list, and we can quote for. But obviously, for the majority of deployments, having the AP in there is absolutely fine. And Simon's asked, can we request speaker tunings for specific manufacturers to be included? You can absolutely ask, Simon. We have asked pretty much anyone. Unfortunately, we are at the mercy of how nice other manufacturers want to play. I think everyone probably on this webinar is aware that some manufacturers play nicer than others when it comes to sharing speaker tuning information.
We do have speaker tuning files for the majority of the major manufacturers. We have over 3,000 speaker tuning files. So yeah, again, have a quick look on the website, and they're all readily available to see. But if there is one missing, then just send us a message and say, look, we'd really be interested in this. And hopefully, if the manufacturers keen to work with us, we'll make that happen.
Cool, great questions. Thanks, guys. All things that we hadn't planned for, but all very sensible stuff that I'll make sure I cover as part of the presentation next time. Thanks for joining. Appreciate you taking half an hour out. I know webinars and video calls and everything are going on all the time these days, so really do appreciate you guys coming. Like I said, we will follow up with a recording and some additional information after this, but please do fire an email back if there's any questions, and me and Jeff will jump straight on that. We'll likely be running this again at some point in the future as well. So if you want to join again or send any of your colleagues, please do get involved. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Ben. Brilliantly put.
See you guys. We'll speak to you all soon. Take care.
See you. Thank you. Bye-bye.